Hello and welcome to Travel Talks. I'm Julia Lever, Lead Enterprise Account Manager.
And I'm Alison Knight, Director of Operations.
Today we're here to discuss how you can get the best top tips on cost savings of your travel programme and to make you become a much smarter travel booker. The first 50 attendees will receive a coffee voucher and this will be emailed to your inbox later today. There will be a Q&A, so if you would like to put your questions at the bottom of the screen and we will then adhere to answer them later on, or they will be emailed directly to you. So Ali, thank you very much for joining us. So we're looking at top tips on the best way to save on our travel programme and to make bookers the smartest they can be in cost savings. So I've got a few questions for you. So first of all, as we all know, content and process is key. So how does this drive savings?
Well, we talk a lot about driving savings and being smart about cost savings in the business. One of the things we talk about is around travel policy and making sure you've got policy in place for your travellers, making sure no one's going rogue. So at least you're saving money because you've got costs in there which travellers need to adhere to.
Yeah.
One of the big things we talk about is content and quotes. And obviously from an offline or an online agent, one of the big tips that we talk about is having options. We don't want us to, and TMCs, we're a retailer, we want to sell you the best possible options. Mm-hmm. We don't want to be order takers. So what you need to look for in your TMC is to make sure they're offering you alternatives that are similar times, similar flights, like for like, not something indirect that then could save you by travelling half an hour later or an hour earlier. That could save you a substantial amount of money. One of the things we talk about as well around cost savings is content. We say content is key and it's one of the big things that we have in the business. But we've seen more and more of the web airlines coming on board, your EasyJet, your Ryanairs. Some people don't have access to that content through their TMC, and then therefore they could be given an indirect flight, which there could be a direct option, which is going to save time for the traveller and ultimately save costs to the business. So that's one big thing that we recommend from a TMC. Make sure you're seeing all the content to save additional costs in your business.
Okay, and as account managers, we go out and we're always promoting our Fair Desk. Can you tell the viewers today what our Fair Desk does and how that enhances better fare savings?
Absolutely. So one of the things we talk about from a TMC is you want those additional fare savings, not just at the time of booking, but through the booking process. So when you make your air booking and the booking's complete, what you want to see is what's going on after that sale. What is the TMC offering to you to save costs, drive down the budgets on your departments? And one of the things that we have is a fares desk, which after ticketing, there's a manual process and there's an automation as well, mainly automated to be honest. And what that does from the time of ticketing right up until 24 hours before is searches for lower fares. Now it could be a lower class, but it will be like for like. So it's not going to come back and we're going to offer you something completely different to what you've already booked.
It's good to know.
So yeah, exactly. So if you've got a ticket that's a bit more flexible, that's not restricted, and this is really for long haul round the world, which makes a big difference, that team behind the scenes will go on and save lots of money, and we report on that on a monthly basis. We obviously will go back to the customer, and again, what is your TMC doing after the point of sale to then reduce the cost going forward before you actually take that trip and travel on your business trip?
Yeah, that's good. My next question is obviously advance purchase. This seems to go round in a circle year after year. So is advance purchase now a major factor when you're looking at booking flights?
I'm laughing because advance purchase is one of those things we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it for years and years. And for us, obviously, yes, advance purchase makes a big difference to, the fares and the capacity of the airline, the availability. So for us, yes, there's more capacity, you should book in advance. Now, I can tell you we look at this very closely because we want to see what our customers are doing, what's the best time to book. For us, it's, we always recommend you come in to book at least 90 days plus where you can. Appreciate for some corporate travellers, it might be a last minute trip. We generally see 14 to sort of 20 days with advance purchase. So as early you can book, the cheaper the cost will be. So giving you an idea of fare savings around reductions in booking in advance, if you look at something like UK domestic and you book 90 days plus, you look at an average saving of 52%.
Wow,
which
that's massive.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, but people don't realise that. For Europe, you'll look at around 40% on average,
Okay.
and international about 38%. Now, if we look at the 14 to 20 days average, again, that you're not going to save as much because you're closer to departure.
Yeah.
So you're looking at UK around 29%, European 16%. And probably rest of the world long haul about 21%.
Okay.
And that's what we've seen from January to August in our own stats. So it's not a made up number, that's what we report on, and we work closely with advanced purchase, because it's one of the big questions that the account managers will ask.
Yeah.
What's the lead in time? How in advance can your client, your bookers book? We appreciate that some is last minute and it's within 2 days of travel, and that's always going to be the case in some cases, so that's never going to go away. But obviously the closer to departure date, the more you're going to pay, there's going to be less seats, and the airline are going to only have high inventory, so high fares available.
Yeah, it's something that we do report on, and it's something that we really do try and educate the travellers when we go into review meetings, so that's really good to know. So I know that some of you are lucky enough to have fully flexible in your travel policy. So Ali, does it really make sense to have a fully flexible ticket all the time, even if your travel policy allows it?
Not really, no. So you're always going to have that traveller that tends to change a lot, and we've all got those in the business. So for those travellers, it's not, you should look at a flexible ticket.
Yeah.
But for the majority of travellers, there is so many content now that you can get lower fares, in that they're more flexible. So it's only a small change fee, small cancellation fee. So the chances are they might change once or they might not change at all. And therefore what we need to do is make sure that we're offering that to the customer, because some customers will look at their policy, think I can travel flexible.
Yeah.
It's not my money, it's the company's money, so I'll just book it. But that's not a big cost, that's not a good cost savings to the corporate. So absolutely recommend that for us. The cost savings will be there.
Okay, lovely. So I get asked this question all the time, and I'm sure you do. So what is the cost savings when booking through a TMC and not going direct?
Well, there's two cost savings there. Let's talk about the first one, which is around content. We talked about hotel content, we've talked about air content that needs to be available. But from a TMC's point of view, we have our own fares, negotiated fares. We have access to NDC content, we have web airline content. So ultimately we can look at lower fares that are available, and we deal with third party fares as well. So given that we have that at our fingertips, that's again going to save time. If you're a booker, you're going to have to resource all that yourself, go onto lots of different websites, which will take hours, let's be honest, when the TMC has got the whole content in one place, and it's a lot quicker. So that's going to save costs in your time as a booker. So for us, it's making sure that we've got that right content, and as a TMC, that's what you should look for. Top tip, make sure that your TMC is giving you all content and not just a couple of suppliers or a couple of sources. Yeah,
that's really good. So another question that I'm always being asked when I'm out on the road, sustainability. It's at the forefront of many corporate travel programs now. So my question to you, Ali, is can the TMC agent source sustainability into the savings platform and actually offer that when they're sourcing their flights and hotels?
Yes, it's a good question, Julie. It's one of the questions that we're obviously seeing more and more from our client base. And again, if you're looking at a TMC, and that's one of your top things that you need to look at, because normally it's pricing, let's be honest, but closely now moving up from number 6 to probably number 3, and in some cases number 1, sustainability is a big thing. So as a TMC, you need to look to make sure your TMC can offer you that, so you can see that. So what I mean by that, whether you book online or offline, for us, the agency, the same as you would if you were booking on an OBT.
Yeah.
And what that does is you can fare it, so you can look at the fares, but next to the fares there's icons, and the icons will show the CO2 emissions. So it might be one department is all about sustainability and the other department is all around pricing.
Yeah.
So you're going to get the best of both worlds, whether you're looking at the fare or whether you're looking at, you know, the CO2 emissions. So then you can make your mind up as to what's your best policy for your company in what you should book going forward.
Yeah, and I really love with our OBT that you can actually do your comparisons, so you can have your flight and your rail, and it tells you which is the best CO2, which is, you know, it's a real USP for us, especially in today's market.
Yeah, and we are seeing more of that because obviously some of our customers is number one on their list, so they want to look at trains compared to flying, and that's something that we can do quite easily. So again, it's something that's going to be a big part of our world moving forward, and we need to be seen to be given that to the customer so they can make that decision on that policy, or whether it's around still top tip on fare saving or making sure they can see the carbon emissions.
Yeah, I think another top tip within that subject is to make sure that, you know, the hotels on your OBT or your agents can say whether you're staying in a green accredited hotel, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you for that. Yeah. So leading on from hotels, how do you get the best fares, and how can travel bookers really ensure that they're getting the best possible prices when they're booking hotels?
So for us, it's around having, as I said, you know, we've talked about content. I think I've said that 3 times. But for us, we have our own negotiated rates. We deal with third parties such as Expedia and Booking.com, and therefore you're not just looking at one website rate and that's all you've got available to you. Some will be flexible rates, some will be pay on departure, and every business is different. So you want that option if you want to prepay, or whether you want the actual traveller to pay on departure and expense that back. Obviously, we have all options. So you might be looking at one hotel, but you'll have 3 different sources coming in to give you the best possible pricing. And that's one of the big things for us that we've moved. It used to just be client rate, GDS rates. You know, now it's looking at content from other sources to make sure that, again, we're driving those costs down for the customer around their hotel spend. Because let's be honest, we've seen the hotel spend go up and down like a yo-yo, particularly in London. So therefore, we want to make sure we've got the choice so they can choose the actual rate. And obviously, booking for hotels, again, we've seen that climb, that people have booked so much more in advance, whereas before, you know, it was something they added on at last minute. So again, it's about driving those costs down and making sure your TMC is offering top tips, as in, you know, where should I book? Well, look at this content here, you've got a flexible rate and it's a lot lower by having a different supplier.
Is there days that they should look at booking on?
I knew you were going to ask me that question. And yes, we've done quite a lot of resource on this. For us as a TMC, you know, we want to make sure we're covering duty of care. We want to know where our corporates are staying. We want to be able to report on that. So for us, it's like making sure we get that hotel reservation, driving those costs down, but ultimately as well, what day should you stay, you know? And we see that, you know, throughout UK and London, Europe, you know, around the world. So we've done a little bit of work around that, and I will share some stats with you. So on a weekday, we always say UK and London. This is what we've looked at. So these are stats from January to August. So the best days to stay is a Tuesday, Wednesday. Sorry, that's not the best days to stay. Avoid staying on a Tuesday, Wednesday and Saturday. That's when you're going to see the cost drive up, because those days are popular. Now, we know that does change, but we've seen that pattern this year. And for us, you know, if you can be flexible, so before you put your meeting in, let's have a look at those dates in the week so you can be flexible in your stay, and therefore that will start driving some costs. So, for example, if you look at a Thursday to compared to a Saturday, for example, if you stay a Thursday, that'll be a roughly 19-20% saving. So, and for Europe, that's for UK, including London region. So Europe, you will look at a saving of around 27%, and the rest of the world, long haul, around 31%, just by being flexible on the day you stay. And I think one of the other things to remember is when to book. Now, I don't know if, and this is another top tip, that for me, when I'm looking for my leisure or even travel for work, I tend to look at it on a Saturday when I've got time and I'm not rushing around doing things. That has proved by actually booking on a Saturday, the prices do go up.
Yeah.
And I know from personal experience, because I was looking at a hotel near Twickenham and I looked on the Saturday and then I looked midweek and it changed by £42. £42 is, you know, and the big scheme of thing, if you've got other people doing that, that soon adds up. So for us, you know, it's looking at that and being a bit more flexible.
Good. So I think you agree there's some great top tips there. Book early, advance purchase, make sure your agent's got all the content you need, and, you know, make sure you use the experience of the agents in your TMC, because, you know, they have got the experience, the knowledge that's needed to make you a much smarter travel booker. Okay, our team has been managing the Q&A behind the scenes, so let me just see if we've got any questions. Oh, we've got a good one here. So what they're saying, Ali, is we're looking to go to RFP and our TMC are asking us for data. Why are they requesting this?
It's a good question. There's a number of reasons why they could be asking that question, but as a business, what we do is when we're looking at a customer, we will ask for their spend because we want to see what they're buying, where they're travelling to. So clients who share data pre-moving to grey doors, we will see a minimum of 11% savings straight from the data that they've given us. So that's something we can change quite quickly. However, depending on the product and destination where they're travelling to, that number could be higher. So it is a good question in that a TMC should be asking for that information to straight away look at savings for you.
And that's because of our content?
Absolutely, yeah.
We've got time for a couple more questions, so let me just see if any more come through. Some good ones. So we have offices in different locations in different countries. As a booker, how can I ensure I'm being offered the lowest fare?
Okay, so
question.
Yeah, it's a very good question. So for what you need to make sure is that your TMC is giving you the full content, and what I mean by that is if you've got an office in the USA, and it might only be a small office, it might only be 20 people that you're looking after, you want to be able to buy the content in the USA and you want to be able to buy that content in dollars, so it's local currency, marketplace fares. So you need to make sure your TMC can offer that, because obviously you don't want to be paying in pounds and just having UK content. The capacity on all the airlines changes depending on which country you buy that ticket. So again, you know, that's something that you want to make sure that you've got that marketplace availability.
Okay. And the last one, I've got one of my travellers that is obsessed with finding their own fares, thinking that they can get it cheaper themselves online. What are your views on this?
I'm trying not to laugh, Julie, because obviously I've been in travel about 30 years. And that's a question that sort of does do the rounds, really.
Everyone wants to be a travel agent.
Oh yeah, they do. They're fully trained, remember. I think one of the big things, we do see that. I mean, it's, again, you know, we've talked about content. If your TMC has got full access to NDC, third-party fares, you know, they should be able to always get you the lowest fare. There is, you know, there's a particular one that we come up against, which is Skyscanner, but it's one of those things that, you know, you've got the content, so it will never be any cheaper. The only time that you would get an odd seat, that there might be a time when it's cheaper, is because they're looking at the last seat. Yeah. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, that has happened, but that's very rare that happens in the industry. If you've got the content, that they will never be cheaper on the website direct. And also what you need to remember as well, if you book on a website direct and something happens, you're not going to get the support from a TMC as well.
Like the other weekend at the bank holiday?
Yes, interestingly enough. Yes, for the air traffic control. So if you had booked outside of a TMC, so top tip, no chance getting through to an airline to change or rebook your ticket. So that's another question, really. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you, Ali. Well, that's all we've got time for the moment. So thank you for your time. Our next episode of Travel Talks is with our lovely CTO, Sophie Taylor, so please look out for the invites. And any other questions, our back office team will basically respond to you directly. So once again, thank you. And thank you, Ali.
Thanks, everyone.